Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Quick and to the point. I like it.
How about it?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 203 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, guys, thank you so much for making How About That Cigar a part of your regular audio podcast rotation. If you're watching live, take just a minute, if you would, please share us out with your favorite Facebook cigar groups and let everybody know that we are live on the air. And as always, please share in the comments with us. Let us know what you're smoking. Let us know what you're drinking. Join in the conversation. We have a fantastic special guest coming up in just a couple minutes. And here in the Corona Cigar Studios, finally, it's Minnesota summer or spring has finally arrived. Spring arrived in mid-May. Yeah. That's just the way things go here in Minnesota. It's beautiful out right now. It was 80, close to 80 degrees today. It's going to be a beautiful week. And we finally have, decent weather in Minnesota. It's been long overdue, but I'm glad we finally have that. So the Minnesota Twins are still just kind of doing what the Minnesota Twins do. Just hanging in there, just good enough to hold on to first place. They're not in a great division to begin with.
No.
So they're just enough to hold on to first place. We lost. So our last two series, we lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, which it's the Dodgers. So, the fact that we took one game from the Dodgers,
I'll take it.
Yes. And we lost 2 out of 3 to the Angels. We started a series tonight against the Giants. And the Giants are, a pretty decent team as well. We'll see how it goes. Pitching wise for the Twins has still been great. So we'll see, what the rest of the season brings. I think Byron Buxton is injured. He left the last Angels game with what did they call it? Upper leg tightness.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just picture hockey players and it's like upper leg tightness is just another Tuesday. They don't even think about it.
His Marzal vein.
Yeah. The Fetzer valve.
Yep.
Yeah. It's all ball bearings.
It is.
Speaking of NHL, the Stanley Cup playoffs still rolling along. As it stands right now, the conference finals stand at 2-0 Florida and 2-0 Dallas. So hopefully it'll get a little interesting. We always love seeing series go as far as they can, but Dallas and Florida are both great teams, and they don't seem to be really relenting much. So
go Florida.
I mean, really, and I don't, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really know the situation when the Minnesota North Stars left to go to Dallas and became the Dallas Stars. Since that happened, because that was back in what? 91. Since that happened, have the Dallas Stars won a Stanley Cup?
Didn't they win it in like 93?
I honestly don't know. I didn't start watching hockey until the early 2000s.
We have a visitor.
Where? Oh, that's my brother-in-law's dog.
Okay.
They're visiting on the front porch.
Got it.
We have the big garage door open, so we have, family over. So I don't know if they've won a Stanley Cup. If anybody knows,
can somebody do the
in
Google
the comments,
for us?
somebody do the Google foo for us and let us know if the Dallas Stars have won a Stanley Cup. We know they didn't when they were the Minnesota North Stars, but if the Dallas Stars have ever won a Stanley Cup. The NBA playoffs, we really don't talk basketball. I don't follow it very deeply. I sort of watch a little bit when the playoffs come up, and I watch a little bit of March Madness.
I watched some highlights and stuff, but I watched it more when the Timberwolves maybe had a
but this these series in the conference finals in the NBA playoffs are just sad. I mean, Boston completely has fallen apart, and everything that I know of, just a little bit that I follow of basketball, Boston was a pretty good team, and now they're just completely fallen off the map.
Yeah,
Did
you see Matthew Tobacco's post today?
Yes.
The New England area sports teams are all dead and dying, and he was all woes me. Oh, I'm sorry for your 10-year reign in sports.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the New England Patriots dynasty. I'm sorry for the Boston Bruins dynasty.
Celtics.
The Celtics dynasty. I'm really I feel super bad for you about that.
That hurts.
Yeah, that's a bummer, bro.
Yeah. 99.
They won in 99. Okay. So, yeah, I just would like Dallas not to win.
Correct.
Because I have bad feelings.
And the Florida story is fantastic. Being a high seed and taking out. I mean, so I'm on the Florida bandwagon.
Yeah.
For the NHL.
Back to the thing about the NBA. One final thing about the NBA playoffs. Anybody who is still on this bandwagon that LeBron is the greatest of all time, you completely lost me. LeBron should be embarrassed, by his performance in these NBA playoffs. He should be he's just kind of loafing around the court.
But he's the best player in NBA history, man.
Waiting for something to happen, and totally not engaged in the plays. Just kind of waiting for somebody to throw him the ball. He should be embarrassed, and anybody who says that he's the greatest of all time should equally be embarrassed. It's sad. Yep. Michael Jordan would never put on performances like that. He was constantly moving, constantly engaged on defense and offense, and there's no comparison in my mind.
Yep.
But this great story from over the weekend, the PGA Championship.
I love this story.
This guy named Michael Block, who is literally he's the club pro at some golf course somewhere in Southern California. Yeah. And he comes out of nowhere with this Cinderella story out of California. Yeah, it's got
about 97 yards. He'll hit about a 1 iron.
584 yards. He's going to hit about a 7 iron. And he's just came out, and it's this great Cinderella story that, and I love the guy because, he tied for 15th in this PGA Championship, which for any player on the PGA Tour of the top tier players to tie for 15th is absolutely out of this world. And he wears his emotions on his sleeve. Yeah. And whenever something good would happen, you'd see him tear up and choke up, and it's just so great to see some.
Did you see the video of him getting the call that he won that last spot?
Yeah.
Like this guy, I mean, these are the stories that I love.
Yeah.
I am not a golf guy at all. I don't watch golf, but I'll watch some plays here, and I respect the players that play at a high level. But when there's a story like this guy, who, like you said, he was, so for those who don't know, a lot of, decent high-end clubs will have a PGA pro. That doesn't mean that they've, won great tournaments. It just means that they have a proficiency that they have earned to be the club pro, right? And this guy gets this call that he got the last lottery spot.
Yeah.
To compete in his humility and all.
And his share of the total prize purse for tying for 15th was about $288,000. And his one of the interviews he did, his wife said that because he gives lessons at this golf course,
as a golf
that's
pro.
Part of his pro duties is you charge for lessons. He would have to give over 1,500 lessons to earn what he got from this 4-day PGA Championship event.
Life-changing.
And it is life-changing. And if his game stays good, then he could continue to,
Yep.
but even if he doesn't, he seems like the kind of guy who's okay with it.
Absolutely.
He got, his 15 minutes of fame.
Yep.
He's just grateful for being able to do what he does, grateful for his family. And again, I love the fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. So that is all we have for preliminary news this evening. I definitely want to get this train moving and get our special guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's bring on our special guest of the evening. And as always, on How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to us by Drew Estate. And Drew Estate has announced the most recent Freestyle Live event pack with an MSRP of $40. The new packs have been prepared, and each one will include 4 of the new premium cigars, unbanded, a Freestyle Live cigar case, Freestyle Live torch lighter, and a Freestyle Live cigar rest. Each pack will also include a badge with a QR code, which allows the purchaser to enter a sweepstakes for a chance to win incredible prizes, including an airfare package to anywhere in the world for 2 people, a custom longboard from Subculture Studios, and finally, the grand prize will be a luxury watch valued at $10,500. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together, help us out, and welcome to episode 203 from AJ Fernandez Cigars, Laurel Tilley. Welcome back to How About That Cigar Live.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So grateful to have you back as a returning guest on the show. So sorry that you can't smoke with us this evening, but
this feels familiar sitting in my hotel.
I mean, it has kind of become the norm. We have Laurel on the show. She's in DC.
Yeah.
She's in a hotel.
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
So if you could just get your calendar, and the next time you're in DC, let us know, and we'll do a show.
Yeah, totally.
It'll just be
perfect. Like I said, I had a lounge scheduled to be able to go and sit in there, but like I said, unfortunately, when I tried to smoke yesterday, it was just a wasted effort. So, oh well, if I could be smoking anything right now, I'd be smoking the Bellas Artes Maduro. So, smoking in spirit.
I was gonna ask what you'd be smoking.
Hey,
that's actually what Justin's
got that fired up right now.
Nice.
So let's jump in here, but before we get to our questions, I finished my pregame cigar.
Okay.
As is the norm. But I am gonna fire up the Dias de Gloria. And thank you, Laurel, so much for sending us these beautiful cigars.
You're so welcome.
I
sent you that one. I think that's like the unsung hero of the AJ blends. It's just a great cigar if you haven't had it before.
Oh, I have, and am a fan. Can confirm. Is this your first?
It's my first.
Oh,
as I saw them there, and I'm like, I mean, I've known about Dias de Gloria for a long time, and I think this is my first.
Hey,
and
we get to be here to witness your first time.
There's things happening.
We'll get you through it. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk you through it. Super gentle.
I'll be gentle. I'll be gentle.
All right, I'm going to fire this up right now on the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Toast Cam.
When lighting your cigar, it is important to be patient, pay close attention to detail, and focus on the tobacco. In the same way, Steve Saka brings those same qualities to the ultra-premium cigars of Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Patience, close attention, and focus on the tobacco are the qualities that Saka and Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust have become known for. From Sober Mesa to Umbagog, Dunbarton has a blend that will fit your palate, your mood, and any occasion. Visit dunbartoncigars.com to learn more.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right off the foot, dude, this cigar is fantastic. It is very, very good. I will be getting more of these.
I was focused so much on the tobacco. No, I just got to get that one little spot right there. I'm so anal retentive when it comes to lighting a cigar. Sorry, guys.
You were really getting it toasted there. I mean, that was attention to detail.
Viewers and listeners who watch our show often will know that Matt goes through one of those giant cans of Zycar fuel not a sponsor, by the way. One of those giant cans of Zycar every 3 days.
No,
that's actually impressive.
You might be exaggerating a little bit.
Bit.
No, I buy I buy these big, 8-ounce cans, and I get 4 packs of the 8-ounce cans. And typically these 4 cans will last me 6 to 8 months. I use a lot of butane. Don't be me. I'm slightly wasteful. Don't be me. But I do go through a lot of butane because I like to toast cigars for a really long time. I'm super.
Yeah, I never puff on the cigar when I'm lighting it. I always just toast the foot, and I always feel guilty when I use somebody else's lighter because I'm always bumming somebody else's lighter because I'm always flying, so I don't have my own. And then, they're like watching me as I spend, 18 minutes using all of their butane, toasting the foot of the cigar.
It's 100% Matt. All right, so this isn't. This show is about Laurel. Let's get to Laurel. So Laurel, you have been in the industry for almost a long time now, and I think a long time. Tell us about your transition now to AJ Fernandez.
Well, it's so far it's been a fun new chapter. I've only been here since January, so just about 6 months or so. Came from retail. I did retail for 6 years at a shop in Milwaukee, and then obviously the last time I did this with you guys, I was with General with Macanudo. So like I said, just came over to AJ. So it's been a fun new chapter into a very different brand, a very different cigar company. And what I love about the cigar industry is, you never lose your friends, like you never lose your people, like you still get to see everybody. Actually, last week I was in Philadelphia and I got to run into Ricky, so that was awesome, and Jack, and some old reps and stuff, and so that's cool. But it's just it's been a fun new adventure. I've been a fan of AJ's for a long time. And obviously the company I was with, we were doing collaborations. So I had some exposure to his products via that as well. And, even on the retail side, we sold AJ, but it's been fun. So right now I'm doing, my role is not entirely dissimilar to what I was doing with Macanudo as far as kind of going out and doing like events and working with the reps and doing, media and stuff like that. But also helping kind of develop the programs on the back end, which is really exciting. So I just, I'm actually out in DC right now doing some trainings, which I got to develop the training program. So it just, it's just something a little bit different. And I've talked about this before, but once you get into the cigar industry, it sucks you in and you can never get out. And I said this with Macanudo. I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get out of the cigar industry. Not that I want to at this point, but then, after that, it's on to a new cigar adventure. So yeah, I'm 12 years in at this point. But I've enjoyed it. And it's been cool to see kind of the different sides of it, going from retail, going to, a company like General, going to a company like AJ, and still being just so, ingratiated in everything cigar industry wise. So, yeah.
That's really, and one of the things that you see in lots of different industries, whether it's, if somebody who works in IT or somebody who's in the legal profession or something like that, when you get, if you get recruited by another company, and get an opportunity to leave the spot that you're in, what is it that tell us what you look for, because it's a big change, and what do you look for?
Mm-hmm.
Like what were the things that you looked for from AJ Fernandez as a company, saying, I want this in place before I make this leap, kind of a confidence thing that's says this is the place for me?
Yeah, and that's a good question. It's first, I don't want to say, first and foremost, I have to like the product. Wherever I go, I want to be able to stand behind the product, because it's difficult to, have a passion for something that you don't actually enjoy, right? Every day I'm out here and, you're around it and you're smoking it, right? So you have to enjoy it to some degree. So first and foremost, I have to like it. From a very rudimentary level, but
Absolutely.
also just, just to have the opportunity to, make a difference. And I feel very grateful with, my time with General and my time with Macanudo and the opportunities that they had given me. With, I think, really any position, there is a ceiling, right? And, kind of, going elsewhere, it's just, I don't want to say from a selfish standpoint. I just, I'm a doer. I like doing things, right? I like making things happen. And, to be able to go to a place and say, oh, there's the opportunity here to make a positive impact and to, make an impression, and have some hand in doing something that is going to help, move the company forward. And, with Inspirato, I came on back in 2016 when Inspirato had really just been released into the States. And I got the opportunity to, kind of help grow that brand here, along with the other, STG team. And, with AJ, right now, we're sort of on this precipice of being, kind of taking the company to the next level. AJ brands, both portfolio and collaborations, have been around for a really long time. But what was really appealing to me was their commitment to wanting to sort of take the next step and to kind of be on the ground floor of that and help make that happen seems really fun for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I don't think it's selfish. I don't. Well,
either.
I guess maybe technically it is, but you have to, anytime you take on a job, regardless of the industry, that, especially during the years that we spend working, it's got to be something that you can personally invest in. It's got to be something that you're going to care about, and not just a drudgery, and a product that you care about, like you said, Laurel, and a product that you already know you enjoy, and that just makes it it just makes it easier to invest yourself and put that time in. So I don't, even though it is selfish, I think it's necessary. So I applaud you for that.
I do too. And I just want to say to our viewers and listeners, if you haven't seen or heard the first podcast we did with Laurel, please go back and search, How About That Cigar, either on, wherever you get your podcasts or on our YouTube channel for Laurel, and to see her Wolverine origin story, because it's it will have all of that. And we don't want to repeat all of that tonight, which is easy to do, but we want to talk about new and exciting things that you have going on.
Yeah.
So in this new role, what are some exciting things that you are bringing to AJ Fernandez?
Well, I don't know if exciting right now is exactly the best word.
Okay.
For kind of my main thing when I came on was like, okay, well, help sort of develop an event platform, because we really don't have any sort of cohesive event platform right now. And, for me, I really have always enjoyed the educational aspect of it, and I've always been really good at that. I mean, if there was one thing from the role that I've been in the last, I mean, I guess if you're concluding this 6.5 years, I love being able to go and sort of spread the good word of the brand and kind of educate people on it. And, just getting in front of retailers and really explaining what the concept is behind the brand, and, maybe how to think differently about it, and just give them more of that connection. I have always felt like I've been more equipped to do a better job, whether it be, talking about something, selling something, when I have the knowledge to do it, right? Back when I was in retail, I had gone on a factory tour and then came back from that, and all I did for 6 months was talk about that freaking cigar, because I felt so connected to it. So being able to kind of bring that connection and, and impart that upon people and get them to, I've tried to like exude passion about it and get them to pick up on it. Right. So I would say that's maybe more of like the exciting thing to me, maybe not exciting to other people. But really right now, my focus has been kind of just the training and the education. Right now we're kind of in a weird spot where, there's been a lot of collaborations that we have done on the AJ front with other companies. And then in addition to having our portfolio blends, but there is a little bit of a disconnect for people understanding the difference between portfolio and what AJ does for his own company versus the collaborations we do. So kind of just getting through the weeds on that and figuring out how to properly articulate that both to retailers and consumers. So like I said, maybe not exciting for you guys, but exciting for me.
No, and
that
actually brings up something that I was curious about. And that is, How do you guys and I know you're still kind of working your way into putting a vision together and rolling with it, but that is one of the things that the name AJ Fernandez has been known for a while is not only the portfolio blends, but also collaborations with other cigar companies. And
Totally.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think a lot of the blends with AJ's name on them, from Altadis to General to other companies, have been very, very enjoyable blends.
Mm-hmm.
But how
yeah.
do you guys, as you're looking ahead, avoid, because sometimes I've heard from other people in cigar media, other cigar consumers, that sometimes it can get a little confusing. So how do you guys work out the vision to make sure that those collaborative avenues are still open for creativity and stuff like that, while not diminishing the portfolio of AJ Fernandez brands?
Yeah. So that is also a very good question. Right now, we're sort of in the thick of trying to figure out, navigate that, right? Like, how do we, keep AJ's name on the collaborations? Because, having done the collaborations, that is bringing recognition back to the portfolio line, right? Because more people are being exposed to AJ as a blender, and obviously he does a really good job, and he holds the reputation to the point where these other companies want to have his name on the product. Obviously, I worked for a company that we did collaborations with AJ Fernandez, right? Punch, Diesel, Hoy de Monterey, and so right now, I think one of the big things to sort of work on trying to separate those two, and it's complicated because it's not trying to diminish the collaborations and say, portfolio is more important, because they obviously both hold an importance to AJ and in the market, but just making sure that we're giving the proper love and attention to the portfolio blends, because those are AJ's, those are his babies. He gets to create them from the ground up to completely his likeness. So I was online the other day, and I saw, I'm not going to name the site or anything, but it was like an AJ Fernandez pack. And it was like a couple portfolio and a couple Altadis and, a couple punch or whatever it was. And so I think that kind of continues to confuse people, and it's not any fault of their own. It's just so far, up until this point, we haven't really done enough to try to keep those separated. So, moving forward, we're trying to, even the branding of portfolio overall, we've only started calling AJ Fernandez portfolio, basically like the end of last year, the beginning of this year, as opposed to just AJ Fernandez. So even with that smaller, I want to say like a smaller initiative, but even with the boxes, the AJ boxes that we're doing for portfolio, they have a different logo. They say portfolio, we're trying to have even add shelf talkers and just kind of differentiate the packaging and make sure that we're getting the message across in like a cohesive and concise way, which unfortunately doesn't happen overnight. And it's not just, on our end too. It's, it's kind of an industry wide thing based on how people are not only marketing cigars, in bundles, or how they're displayed in the humidor. If you go into a humidor, it's like, okay, there's, maybe a Diaz de Gloria and a New World, and then a punch, and then a Diesel, and then a San Latano. So it's just kind of working to give them both their own home, which is a little bit more difficult, because it's really ingratiated at this point.
And it's tricky. Some people might say they would just look at it, as an outsider, and they would look at, a humidor at a particular brick and mortar shop with a lot of, like what you just mentioned, Laurel, and they would say, well, just cut down this, this, and this. But it's not that easy. It's a very delicate balance that you guys have to sit down and analyze. So, I know that you guys have your work cut out for you, but I know that it's in good hands. So,
100%.
You'll
thank you. And the people we have working there right now have been great. And, and it's sort of this initiative that we've started only recently. So it is pretty new, but just, like I said, we don't want to diminish the collaborations because they're not any less important than the portfolio. It's just getting people to think differently. When I started, or when I was coming on here and in conversations with them, Frankie, my boss, was like, okay, well, this is kind of a big push that we want to do, and kind of like getting people to separate them. And in my mind, not to sound all snooty and pretentious, like, well, on this side of the industry, but like, I understand it. But I'm in a different position than a lot of customers who are walking into a humidor and just seeing the AJ Fernandez name. So like what I view it as, or what you view it as, is going to be vastly different than what like the general population sees it as.
So, and I don't know if you'll be able to touch on this at all, but not only in the cigar industry, but in just about any other industry, it is popular for collaborations to happen where somebody slaps names on stuff and they put out this, and the name recognition is really the thing that's most important. And I would just want to point out that when AJ puts his name on something, and I heard this a long time ago, it's not just AJ, he is involved in all of these projects.
100%.
And hands-on, and it's not this, I'm just throwing my name on something to get the cred that we want it to for market share. AJ is really the master collaborator in the industry, and I don't think we've seen any other collaboration guru like AJ. And he is special, and he is putting out incredible products. So when you are seeing collaborations, I just wanted to make a point to viewers and listeners that when you are seeing collaborative stuff from AJ, he is involved in those projects.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's totally different. I don't know, Laurel, if you have anything to add or touch on that piece at all from what you've seen so far.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just having this conversation an hour ago with Old Virginia when I was over there, and it's, I can't speak to every single cigar that we do as far as like the collaborations go and what the particulars are, but at least to my knowledge, the majority of what we do, it's, AJ, like you said, it's not just him slapping his name on it. He's blending it. It's, his tobacco. The difference between like the collaborations and the portfolio is that, with the collaborations, typically it's like the blend concept or blend coming to him, and then he gets to use his tobacco and do his signature fermentation process, which is going to give it that signature AJ stamp. As opposed to portfolio, which is something that he, it's his brainchild. He's kind of taking it from the ground up. But yeah, everything that he does as a collaboration, he's got a significant hand in. So it's
I even know of 2 lines that are out there in the market where brands have wanted to blend a particular cigar and it wasn't quite right to what they wanted to, and they went to AJ to help them finish their blend, and he does it and with no name on it at all. I know 2 lines that are out there, and I'm not going to name names, but where AJ has just helped finish a blend because he's a master at doing that.
Well, and I've heard from other people in the industry that he's kind of willing to try. If somebody says, "Hey, AJ, I'm stuck on this. I don't know what to do with this," and he'll gladly say, "Just let me try it, and I'll let you know what I think." And he tries it. He gives people his honest opinion, and he's very open that way. From what I understand, that he'll give people his honest feedback and try their product and say, "I would tweak this, and this, but it's yours at the end of the day. Do what you want to do." And people have heeded his advice, which I think is important.
Well, and at this point, it's pretty evident that AJ knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he has proven that, obviously. Yeah.
So for a long time, I've had a moniker that I've given him for AJ, and I'm withholding it now only because in hopes of one day collaborating with him and calling it that.
Oh, you're gonna tease like that and not throw it out there. We'll talk about it off the air.
Yeah, we will,
Laurel, after the show's over.
I hope to see you guys at the show and lay it on him, because I've got a really cool name and it's not used. So.
Hey, Frankie's watching. Cheers, Frankie.
Oh.
Yes, I saw that.
Good to see you in the comments, brother. So one of the things that I love participating in just as a consumer is in-store events. I love in-store events. I love when, companies come in and they, you know, that you get to spend some time with whoever the rep in that area happens to be. And we've been fortunate to get to know a lot of the reps in this sort of upper Midwest area. So we get to hang out with them when they have in-store events. But then there's also the other side of the event space that's sort of the medium to large multi-vendor events, whether it's like Brew City Cigar Festival or Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest or
Great Smoke.
Cigars and Baseball, Great Smoke, you know, events like that.
That's right, you guys have cigars and baseball up there.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You gotta come.
Yeah, it's
never been, but the rep I used to work with up there, there was like the one event a year he always wanted to do. He's like, "Oh, you don't need to come up here for this. It's always my wife and I." Okay.
Oh, you should definitely be a part of Cigars and Baseball. Come. It's an absolute blast. A blast. But when, you know, both at your previous time at Macanudo and now at AJ Fernandez, what do you guys look for as a company because there's a lot of those multi-vendor events. You obviously can't attend and exhibit at every single one of those. What do you guys look for when you're looking at you get invites maybe to different multi-vendor events? What do you guys look for as a cigar company as factors that say, okay, this is an event for us?
I mean, and man, you have good questions tonight. I mean, you had good questions last time too, but you know, for us, it's just, I mean, it sounds really basic, but I don't want to say, will it make a difference? Because you don't want to say, oh, going to someone's event isn't going to make a difference. Because always to some degree it will. You know, from a logistical standpoint, I like events that are like really, really concise and well run. I mean, like Rocky Mountain is one of my absolute favorite events. You know, they do a super bang up job. I always, like, as a consumer, I would go to Rocky Mountain, you know, which is, I can't say a lot. I can't say about every event, right? Because you kind of get cigared out. But, you know, something that we feel like we can really have an impact there. So, you know, we do Rocky Mountain. You know, we've done the Great Smoke. We haven't done the Big Smoke in a while. I just did Texas Cigar Fest, and like we do smoking in the Carolinas, but something that, you know, we can get the reach, and it just that it makes sense the way it's set up. You know, for me personally, I don't as much care for the events where the people aren't forced to come talk to you. From a ease of working standpoint, I like when they get the cigars in the bags and then you don't have to, like, you know, have the line of people in front of you, because it's just, you know, it gets to be a long day. But from the other side of it, I like having people come to the booth where you can physically interact with everybody. I feel like sometimes the events, you know, they're set up in a way that makes it easier for consumers, which I can appreciate. But from a brand standpoint, you know, we want to have as much impact as possible. So kind of just like the logistics of the event. Are you going to come to the booth? Do we have a chance to talk to you? You know, do we have a chance to sort of maybe get you to think about AJ Fernandez? Will we have that opportunity there? So that's kind of what we look at.
Now, I would assume, since, you know, your previous employer, it was a, you know, very different brand. Your approach and your strategy to a lot of things are very different. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's return on investment, but the strategies and how they differ, are they vastly different? How you approach that now at AJ Fernandez versus what you were doing at Macanudo?
Yes and no. From a building, I guess, you know, kind of bringing the programs to light standpoint, yes, because there's some things that we haven't had in the past. So, you know, the strategy is different, because as opposed to simply going out and executing, you know, we kind of need to build it up to get to that point where we can go out and execute. But as far as actually doing so, I mean, at the end of the day, you still want people to feel that sense of connection to the brand. And, you know, and I don't think that's limited to cigars. I mean, it could be liquor, it could be wine, you know, liquor and wine, not that they're that much different. It could be watches, whatever it may be, right? You know, it's a very different product, but it's kind of funny because there are some parallels between my time at Macanudo and then, my time here so far. With Inspirato, it was getting people to think differently about the blend, right? People
Right.
had sort of this idea of what Macanudo was. And then with Inspirato, it was trying to get them to think differently about it. With AJ, it's not necessarily people thinking differently about the brand itself and the cigars because they're relatively young. I mean, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, but it's more so getting people to think differently about the AJ space between collaborations and portfolio. So there definitely are some parallels in the approach as far as like, how do we achieve that? And that's, events, trainings, social media, whatever it may be. So similar and different. Sorry if that I don't feel like become.
No, that totally makes sense. And I think, to your point, taking, a Macanudo that was a legacy brand for so long and had, this, pretty specific demographic to AJ Fernandez, which is, has grown into, quite the monster of, a lot of different things. That's absolutely that totally makes sense.
Well, and one of the big things that's happened recently is the Dorado, and that cigar. I mean, we reviewed it and scored it very, very highly, and I've talked to many people in cigar media who have reviewed it and also enjoyed it quite a bit. I've talked to a lot of consumers who fell in love with that cigar as soon as it hit the shelves. Tell us about this is a big one for the company. So tell us about the Dorado and the impact that it's had just right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's been awesome so far. I mean, New World as a line is sort of our flagship. When people think about AJ portfolio, a lot of times New World is one of the first things that comes to mind. So, releasing the Dorado under the New World name, makes sense. And it's a new cigar for us. It's about a year, and it's a totally new field. So we were actually down at the factory in January for our meeting, and got to see the field. So the soil, Dorado means gold. I don't want to say I assume you know that, but that's what it translates to, right? So it was named after the golden appearance of the soil in the fields, and it was really sort of a passion project for AJ. And, it's been, internally, I mean, we love it. It's been great just from a selfish standpoint of liking to smoke it. Right. But the reception in the market has been awesome. And I think being kind of at this pivotal point for the company, and again, kind of going back to that, trying to differentiate between the collabs and the portfolio, Dorado is really good to sort of make a splash and say, hey, we're here, we're portfolio, maybe we can kind of get a hold of consumers that way and then shift them onto the other portfolio offerings we have, because Dorado really has taken off. So it's been a really successful launch for us and just a super good cigar. I mean, we got top 25 in Cigar Aficionado this year. And, I know everybody has their own feeling about ratings, and that's totally fine. But, from a I can't even think of the word, from just an exposure standpoint, it's been really, really good to get people into portfolio and to even just introduce them to New World if they had not dipped their toe in the water yet.
Well, and what are retailers saying about this cigar? Because I've talked to at least 3 that have told us that so 2 of them said that it was a blend that, for better or worse, just take them at their, take it for what it is. They said this blend, the New World Dorado, restored their confidence in AJ Fernandez as a brand. Okay. For one, because they were a little concerned about the collaborations and all that. And but then some other retailers saying they can't, they get their 8, 10, 12 boxes and they're gone in like 2 weeks, which is fantastic. That's a great problem to have. And tell us about the travels that you've had going to events and just going to regular store visits, what the retailers are telling you about this New World Dorado.
I have not heard one negative thing about the blend. I mean, honestly, and I'm not saying this because Frankie's watching. The only thing that I've heard is just people don't like the box size because it takes up too much space in the humidor. Literally is the only complaint that I've heard about it. But, you know, as far as the reception goes, I haven't heard, you know, it's restored their faith in AJ, which, you know, I guess I don't want to hear that people didn't have faith in the brand before that, but it's also good that that was sort of, you know, a good enough cigar to them that brought them back to revisit the brand. But I had spent a fair amount of time out in Texas the beginning of the year, and it was doing really, really well out there. And it's just one of those cigars that kind of falls into a good profile. Or, you know, it's got that nice kind of like medium plus, a little bit more approachable for somebody who maybe doesn't want something crazy strong or super peppery. But yeah, as far as kind of rounding out the portfolio, a lot of people, retailers wise, you know, I think thought it was sort of a necessary addition.
Real quick before my next question, I just want to apologize for never have trying this cigar.
The Diaz de Gloria.
I don't know why I just never picked this cigar up. This is a absolute gem. And
yeah, it's a great.
Believe me, viewers and listeners, when I say something is a gem, I am not blowing smoke because of the guests that we have on. I honestly wouldn't do that. This cigar is fantastic. So just an update on the cigar, and I am sorry. I'm sorry to this cigar. I'm sorry.
Apologize to yourself that you.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But that being said, now Laurel, in your former life, you did these great little short videos.
Yes. That
we all loved. Are they coming back?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yes.
So I'm trying. So I had a YouTube channel for a while, and I really want to bring that back in a good way, but I've been struggling with like the angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like what is going to make it different?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. And part of me, like, I love to cook and I love to bake. So I was like, oh, is there like some way that I could like bring these things together and make it make sense and not like bog myself down for, you know, 30 hours a week baking and smoking and recording videos or something stupid. You know, and I don't think I'm going to go that direction because that just seems like it wouldn't make sense. But, you know, I just, like I said, I'm not sure how to make it like I said, what angle to go. So I need to come up with something kind of unique. And it's funny that you bring it up because it's been on my mind of like, what do I do? Like, what do I do to make this different? So if you have any suggestions.
Want to encourage you, and yeah, if we can have a brainstorm session, we are there for it, and we will advocate for you in that space, whatever that turns out to be.
Yeah, selfishly, we want those videos back.
Yeah,
selfishly,
absolutely.
I do too. And I appreciate that, and I enjoy doing them. You know, and it's just a good way to connect with people, and I'm not comfortable doing live stuff like this live stuff where I'm having a conversation. Totally fine. I can talk to people all day. I mean, I could talk to you guys for 6 hours. You'd boot me off by then. But like during COVID, having like sitting and doing a live session, just talking to the void and hoping that people ask questions.
Oh, that's the worst.
Conversation going makes me abundantly uncomfortable. Like, you know, so you guys know Sean Williams, I assume, right? So we would do events together and he'd be going around like doing an Instagram live or doing a Facebook live. And he was like so natural about it. And I was like, how do you do that? Like, honestly, like, how does that not bring you severe anxiety? Because just trying to like, you know, do a live video talking to nobody. It's a little scary, but
and Sean, for Sean, that's like nothing. It's like he's cool as the other side of the pillow. I mean, he's just,
I know
it's just natural. It just flows out of him, you know.
It does.
I know. Well, and like I said, I appreciate even having this conversation because it's I don't want to say it's been keeping me up at night, but literally I'm like, okay, well, like, what am I gonna do to make these different? And it's just I keep hitting a freaking wall.
No, in all honesty, if you legitimately want to have a brainstorm session, we're there for it.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
To encourage you, to give
Yeah.
you ideas, whatever you want. We're there because we want to see that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We want that back. I think the industry could use it, and you're wonderful for the industry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
You know, I like being here, so I'm glad I haven't gotten booted yet.
That's not happening. So one of the big things that happens, it happens semi-regularly, in the cigar industry. It happens in a lot of industries where you have the bigger fish eat the little fish. You have big conglomerates that come along and they buy smaller cigar companies. Just as a member of the cigar industry and also as a consumer, what do you think the pros and cons are for consumers when big companies come along and buy up small companies? What's good for the consumer? What's bad for the consumer when that happens?
Good for the consumer. If you have these smaller companies that maybe don't have the financial support to go out and do events or make their product more widely available, whether it be lack of a sales force, just lack of resources, right? By having a bigger company come in and put the funding and the support behind it and be able to push out this product to reach more people and maybe roll it into a program where it makes it more attainable and there's maybe more of an incentive to try the brand, maybe a brand that people just hadn't been exposed to before, either because there wasn't a deal and it wasn't in the cards for them to try it, or they didn't have access to it. Right. From a negative standpoint, it's, at some point you kind of, I don't want to say like lose control of the product because it can still be the same product, but when I'm just trying to put this tactfully, right? Because I came from a company.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, you want to make sure I like supporting local businesses. I like supporting the smaller guys too. There's also nothing wrong with supporting the bigger guys. I shop at Target, right? I love me some Target clothes and shoes and toiletries and whatever. But I think when you start getting into the space where there's so many brands, in one kind of like brand house, I think maybe you lose a little bit of what that brand started as. Kind of, I don't want to say it gets lost in the shuffle, but I think you lose some of that brand identity a little bit and kind of what it was built on.
I think that's fair to say it gets lost in the shuffle. I think it does lose some of that history, some of that legacy, that was being built. That is a very fair statement to make.
Yeah, I agree. You really echo a lot of the stuff that I've felt about this kind of subject for the longest time. And I think we've all seen examples of it where it went really well in the past and examples where it went really poorly.
Yep.
And as long as, these bigger companies that come along and buy the smaller companies, as long as they, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen in the past, as long as they put the resources and the effort behind the brand that they just acquired and not just let it fall underneath the bottom shelf and be forgotten about, then things typically go okay if those criteria are met.
Well, because let me ask you this, as a consumer, okay, for all of us here, when you hear about a cigar that you love or a particular brand that you love has been purchased, what is your immediate fear?
Oh no. That's typically what happens in my brain. If if there's a blend that I really love from a brand that I found out just got acquired, but one of the first things that happens in my head, and I know it's unreasonable, it's just as my consumer heart, my little beating consumer heart is like, oh, please don't, pardon me, please don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Please don't fuck 100%. It up. Because
If it makes you feel comfortable answering, what's the last small brand that got acquired that made you feel that way?
the last small brand that got, well,
You don't have to answer. You know, I don't want to make any waves here, but
Room 101.
okay.
Yeah.
And
that would be my last one too.
And it's still fresh, and time will tell.
Correct.
Sure.
So we'll see how it goes.
And I feel better with the fact that at least the optics are that Boofy is still involved, but how much and time will tell.
Well, and one that full disclosure, because we can talk about what we want on this show. Full disclosure, one that did not go well that I was upset about was Balmoral.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
because that brand got acquired and then they shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And there were blends from Balmoral that I was absolutely in love with, that I bought multiple boxes of, that became regular cigars for me in my weekly rotation. And then they just went away. And that was upsetting to me, as a consumer. But I understand it's a business. And at the end of the day, the people in the private rooms with the calculators and all the ones and zeros are going to make decisions based on, business. But as consumers, there is something about cigars, especially small batch boutique cigars, where you do develop a relationship almost with the brands. The same is true, I think, for bourbons, for beers, for coffees, if
paper,
toilet paper.
Yep.
You develop a relationship.
You do. You get close.
Yeah. Long term, I know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Laurel.
Oh no, you're just talking about the Room 101 acquisition being relatively new, and yeah, I mean, I agree. Right, that was like what, a year ago, less than a year ago, a little more. Time is arbitrary.
About a year. Yeah.
Well, I guess it is about a year. Yeah.
What acquisition do you think, hitting, say, the 5-year mark, you were pleasantly surprised by that it maintained its sort of identity and the quality of the blends?
There's one that happened, and it happened before I was even really in cigars, which was when JR acquired the rights for the Franklin Neza line.
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like they did a really good job continuing that line. And unfortunately,
it did come to an end.
It did come to an end.
Yeah.
But I, from a business perspective, I understand why.
Get it.
I'll say, Laurel, to answer your question, I think I will say, as a consumer, my consumer heart was nervous when Swisher acquired Drew Estate. I think Swisher, as a very large conglomerate, I think Swisher has done a very good job letting Drew Estate be Drew Estate.
Yes, I agree.
So I would say that is one of the notable success stories in acquisitions.
Yeah.
And people really gave him shit. I mean, when that happened, we're really, really mad. You're like, hey, but now they have the funding, they have the backing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look how much they have grown and expanded their reach. And I mean, they already had a hugely faithful consumer base before this acquisition. And it has only grown since then because they let the people continue to do what they were already doing. And they've, for the most part, from what I can see, they've let, like I said, they've let Drew Estate be Drew Estate, and that has served them well. And I think the times that companies have kind of said, okay, we bought you because we love you, now we're going to change everything about you, that's when things don't go well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's always the worst if, a bigger company wants to buy a smaller company, right? But as long as you try to let it almost operate independently, like, hey, we're here, we're in the background and we're here if you need us as maybe a safety net or a support system, but like, you guys can operate autonomously. And we're here if you need us. And I think that's a really good way to do it. But yeah, I mean, you definitely do see it happen sometimes, and it's just it doesn't go as well. But
how about this one? Altria buys Nat Sherman. Okay.
That was not Altria. It was yes, Altria.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
Altria buys Nat Sherman. Didn't go well, right? Well, it wasn't an interest to Altria to continue their premium cigar line.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just wanted the cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
They just wanted the cigarettes. And now Herculots goes out and buys all of the naming rights for all of the Nat Sherman brands, and it's Ferio Tego.
Yeah.
Have we been to a point where he has resurrected those legacy lines at this point?
Again, I'd say it's that we're early in the process.
Correct.
I think Michael has been doing a great job.
Fantastic
And I
job.
think they're on the right track. It's just, it's a tough market. Time will tell. You know, they've got a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of great cigars on the market, and they've got to compete for shelf space, just like AJ Fernandez does, just like every other company out there. And I think time will tell.
What I just smoked from them, it was one of the timeless, not an anniversary. Oh, here it is. It was the
Pan America,
the limited 10 years.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I think it was I don't know if it was a Corojo wrapper. It was really good. I just had that thing 2 weeks ago. Ironically, I had like met Michael Herklotz in passing over the years, but I had never had a significant conversation with him. And I was leaving TAA, and I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the show.
Please do.
But they fucked up my shuttle.
Oh.
And so I showed up to get my shuttle to the airport, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you don't have one." And there's not really like a lot of other options, right? So they're like, "Well, Michael, there's a Michael Herklotz, he's got a car and he's going to Santo Domingo, so we can put you in that car." And I was like, I mean, if he doesn't care, then I would love to get to the airport. Yes. And so we got to have like a really nice long conversation, you know, and he told me all about kind of like the resurrection of the timeless blends and everything. I was like, man, I remember liking the Nat Sherman stuff when it was around. And then, to be honest, like I wasn't aware really that, like I knew that he had kind of resurrected them, but I didn't know that they already had such a reach. And then I saw the limited edition a couple of weeks ago when I was in Charlotte. I was like, oh, I'm going to try one of these. And, you know, Michael, he's such a nice guy. I mean, I told him about a birthday party I was throwing for my husband. And a month later, he's like, oh, how'd that birthday party go for you? And I was like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Yeah,
totally.
I love Mike.
Yeah. So it seems like he's doing a really good job kind of bringing those back to the market and giving them the TLC that they deserve.
Yes.
100%.
So obviously the New World Dorado is killing it in the market early in its release. And we have to ask, because it's part of what we do as we look ahead to the rest of 2023. What is AJ Fernandez have in store for consumers? And if that's more of the same great quality that we've come to expect, that's great. But if there's something new, maybe a little teaser, wouldn't it?
And she did say it's her 20th year anniversary.
20th anniversry,
I feel like something's cooking there.
Yeah. So are you guys going to be at PCA this year?
I will.
Maybe.
Okay. I mean, not that it matters. It's not like, oh, I'll tell you there. It's a big secret. So we do have a new size of Dorado coming out, which I am super excited about because it's a Corona, and I love Coronas. And I think the Dorado in a Corona is going to be, I mean, it's just going to be a great size because it's that little. You're excited about that. Yeah, I mean, I think I could smoke anything in a Corona. So I'm excited about that, and that'll be soon. And then we do have a 20th anniversary coming down the pipeline. So, you know, right now we're hoping for like a fall release on that.
Okay.
You know, it's just one of those things that everything takes longer than you think, like, you know, packaging and stuff like that. So hopefully this year we'll have the 20th anniversary out. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Dorado.
And then real quick too, before we get into some of our other segments, are you guys already strategizing for the new time shift in the PCA for March of 24?
Yeah, it's really funky because we don't have that much time. I mean, it seems like, oh, okay, well, we have whatever, it's 6 months, but that's going to go by so you figure we're doing this in July and then that's in March. So yeah, I mean, we're already not even finishing up conversations about PCA in 50 days from now, let alone we're already having conversations about PCA upcoming in March. We're like, okay, this is too much PCA conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
There's only so much we can handle, right?
Yeah, we've heard from a lot of people that there's it's definitely a shift that
Weird.
people have to be ready for, and I think overall it's going to be fine, but it's definitely different. It's definitely throwing a little bit of a curveball at us, but it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I see both. I mean, I see the positives and the negatives. From a not sweating through my clothes before I get to the show.
Yeah.
Positive. And it's hard because depending on where you are in the country, like when I was in the retail side, we never went in July because that was our busiest season. And we couldn't afford to have 2 or 3 people away from the retail store because you needed kind of all hands on deck. But then that's also when there is a big influx of cash. So you can buy more things and support. So it's just, there's pros and cons. I mean, I think that March, I'm curious to see how it goes. I think overall it'll be good, kind of like gearing up for the busy season, maybe allowing more people to be able to attend. And also, not sticking your head in an oven when you're out in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird for sure.
Yeah. Still a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So Garrett, is it time?
Time.
Oh,
yes.
Is it? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, Numero de los Muertos brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn. All right, Numero de los Muertos, episode 203. Garrett, what do you have for us this week?
So I have, since 1970, 25 people have died from this globally.
Holy cow. That's a tough one. 25 people. Yeah. So we do 20 questions. We can ask yes or no, trying to narrow it down.
25 people. Is it from an animal?
No.
Small numbers are always the toughest. 25 people in what, 53 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Is it a freak accident?
I wouldn't call it a freak accident.
Are vehicles involved?
Yes.
Are you saying it's an accident then?
It is an accident.
Ooh.
Does that count as 4 or does that count as 1? It's like an extension of the third one.
Well, we don't really count them.
Yeah, we don't keep track.
Okay.
Interest says boredom.
I love it. No, not boredom. I also
Does
love
it deal?
No.
Is it something mechanically wrong with the car?
Well, we haven't defined the vehicle.
Okay, you're right.
But
We haven't defined the vehicle. Interesting.
Okay. Water or Land by John Lovell.
Land.
Okay.
Land vehicles.
Disco music involved?
Disco music is not involved.
Does it have 2 wheels?
No.
But it is a vehicle?
Yes.
Is it a car?
It is a car.
Would it be considered a workplace accident?
For these people, it would.
Cars, workplace accidents.
Does it deal with the tollway?
No.
Oh, that's a good guess,
That's a
though.
great guess.
Is it competitive?
Yes.
Ooh.
Is it car racing?
It is.
Oh, you're looking for more.
Eric V says NASCAR.
It is not NASCAR.
Formula One.
It's got to be
Isn't it?
something way more obscure.
It's not Formula One.
Is it drag
Go-karts.
racing?
Not drag racing. Not go-karts.
Is it demolition derby?
No, it is not Demolition Derby.
I used to love the demolition derby when I was a kid.
It's not monster trucks.
Not monster trucks. Nope. Not pit crew. Not drifting.
And we said it's not two-wheeled vehicles.
Correct. They're cars.
Okay,
Yep.
they're cars.
The cars.
All right, not NASCAR, not
It's
Formula
dangerous
One.
for those people.
IndyCar.
That's what I'm hung up on. Is your comment?
Not F1 or Indy. Nope.
Oh, no.
Pinewood Derby. I fucking love it.
It's not that.
It is not
Oh,
Pinewood
not
Derby.
that.
No.
Nice. Tip.
Not monster trucks, not what is it what do they call the little
Not soapbox.
sprint cars?
Nope. Not
No,
sprint
okay.
cars.
Is it a regular car?
Mm-mm.
Is it a Hot Wheels car?
No.
Boxcar.
I don't know. Somebody.
It can start out as a regular car.
Oh, is it soapbox?
Nope. John said
Racing.
soapbox.
Oh,
Nope.
okay. John said that.
It's not Demolition Derby.
It can start out as a regular car.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one of those like weird Red Bull car modification things?
Is it illegal drag racing?
Mm-mm. No, I did do street racing.
Oh, you did street. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, uphill mountain racing. Nope. Not John Lovell. Thank you.
What is it?
It's rally.
Oh, like the desert rally racing and
Well,
Rally car.
all kind of rally. So,
okay.
yep.
Yeah.
And it's an international circuit. So races from all over the world where they have that driver and co-driver,
Yeah.
and sometimes just the driver, sometimes both of them, or sometimes just the co-driver will die. And it's interesting because it's
Wow.
split in the middle between the actual race or what they call the recon, where they're going out and just reconning the track.
Really?
Yeah.
Before the actual race.
Before the actual race, they'll go and they'll do a recon run to see, to give the track a
Holy
hammer it
cow.
out. Yep. Nice job,
I feel
John.
like 25 deaths in 50 years. Not that you want anybody to die, but like for rally racing, that seems
It seems
like
really low.
pretty-
Like,
yeah,
here's
yeah.
the
That seems
other-
like it'd be way more dangerous.
A
Yeah.
lot more spectators have died from rally racing than actual co-drivers.
Right, because the spectators
see
are
that.
right there on the track sometimes.
Dude,
too. They're running across everywhere. It's crazy.
Some of those crowds that are right there along a dangerous corner, I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you standing there?
Those, and that's not even, I mean, those, honestly, the number of deaths for bystanders is probably way higher than the number of drivers or navigators who've died.
It's like 100.
Yeah, because we've all seen those horrible videos with,
The car just careens into a corner and rolls over a bunch of spectators.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm watching a rally race, it's either on TV or I'm way up on the fucking mountain, like
Right?
300 yards away with binoculars watching from afar. Natural.
Natural selection.
Yeah.
Here's the Darwin section.
Yeah.
You want to stand there.
Yeah. Stand right on this hairpin corner. right on the edge
there.
of the trail. That's
With your nice camera.
where
yeah.
you're gonna stand.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Yeah, that is natural selection.
Wow.
Oh man. So that was this week's Numero de los Muertos.
Well, I knew that you were a fan of racing, So I figured I would do something in the world of some kind of automotive racing for you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I just actually got to go see the motorcycle races in Austin about a month ago. Although I've never been to like an IndyCar or NASCAR or anything. I'd love to go see some F1 stuff.
Oh my gosh. I would too.
In Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, the F1
Coming
in
up this year,
Vegas.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 120
Oh, it's gonna
degrees.
be like November.
Oh
They
yeah.
wouldn't
Well,
even need to warm their tires.
November, it won't be too hot. November will only
Oh,
be
yeah.
like 80.
Totally.
All right. So, Laurel, the last time you were on, we had the lightning round questions, and
Yes.
we're mixing it up. We're throwing this segment in every once in a while, and tonight you get to be one of the lucky early adopters of this new segment,
Ooh,
and it's
I feel
called
so special.
it's called Plot Trist.
Brought to you by.
And it's brought to us by our friends at J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and the American J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 112-year-old El Reloj Cigar Factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right, so Laurel, what we're going to do, we're going to put 3 clue words up on the screen.
Okay.
And based on those 3 words, you have to guess which movie we're talking about.
Oh, this is gonna go horribly. Okay.
I
So,
don't even know them.
so let's pop the first clue words up on the screen. All right, we have Austria,
Mm.
Prodigy, Antonio. Name that movie.
Is it a popular movie? Like, would I
Very
have had any
popular.
chances seeing? Okay.
Oscar-winning movie.
Huh. Ooh, I don't know. I feel like my guess is gonna be. It's not Ford versus Ferrari.
I'll throw in one extra clue word. So we got Austria, Prodigy, and Antonio. I'll throw in another word, opera.
I mean, I don't know.
So
is opera in the name?
no.
No,
Okay.
So
Garrett, you know the answer to this?
I do.
so it's the movie came out in 1984.
Okay.
It's about a famous composer.
Yeah, I figured it was about a composer being Austria and Prodigy. I honestly don't know. I'm sorry. I feel
No,
dumb.
that's okay.
Amadeus.
It's Amadeus.
Oh, I would never have gotten that. Would never have gotten that.
1984. It's entirely. It's funny because people think it's history. It's entirely.
It is totally fictional.
It's not even remotely close to the real life of. So Austria. It was set in Vienna, Austria, and
Okay.
Prodigy. Mozart was obviously a prodigy who started. He wrote his first symphony at the age of 4 or something like that. And Antonio was Antonio Salieri, who was the sort of the antagonist in the movie. And it's not historically accurate because, you know, they said they were big enemies and that Salieri thought he killed Mozart, and none of that's true. It's completely fictional, but it makes for a great movie. The movie was wonderful.
Hilarious too.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So,
not gonna lie. I've literally never even heard of that movie.
you should
watch it.
You should totally watch it.
Well,
It's a great movie. All
Okay.
right. So the second set of clue words for movie number 2 are Nobel, paranoid, dynamics. This is a more recent movie. Not super recent, but way more recent than 1984.
I assume like Nobel Peace Prize, maybe.
Nobel Prize, yes.
Yeah, Nobel Prize. Yeah, true. It doesn't have to be a Peace Prize.
Ooh.
We have a correct guess. One of our viewers. Yep, Eric. It's
A Beautiful Mind.
A Beautiful Mind. Yeah. So John Nash it was about John Nash. Russell Crowe starred in the movie. John Nash won the Nobel Prize for economics for his groundbreaking work in his own set of theories known as governing dynamics. He won the Nobel Prize for economics, and he was suffered from paranoid schizophrenia and was able to control that to be able to continue his work. But great movie. Great. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Yeah, very good movie.
And my lost interest is fun fact: he was not killed by a rally car.
He was. That is correct. He was.
He was not one of the 25.
Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that. All right, let's put our last. What's that?
Just in case we were wondering, he was not.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
All right, let's put the clue words up for our final movie.
All right, 3 out of 3. Now I gotta get it.
Jerry kidnap Chipper. And I'll even, this might give it away too much. I'll give it a minute to marinate. Jerry, this is one of the best known movies of the last 30, 40 years. It is highly regarded as one of the best movies of all time. And we do have a correct guess on the screen.
Yes. As soon as I saw it.
It is Fargo. So Jerry, it's Fargo.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jerry Lundegaard, played by William H. Macy. And what was the second clue word? I don't even remember now. What?
Kidnapped.
Kidnapped. Yeah. So it was the plot to kidnap his wife.
Yep.
And the wood chipper.
Yes.
I assume that was your friend back there in the wood chipper.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes, we love it because it's funny. People who live in Minnesota, where that movie is set, and people who live in Minnesota sometimes take offense that the accents by the actors are way too overdone. They're not. They're not overdone. I know many people who talk just like the characters in Fargo.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is not an exaggeration by any
especially
stretch.
the more north you go from the Twin Cities.
Totally.
Yeah. Even in Wisconsin.
Too. The Uper accent. Once you get kind of north of Green Bay.
Yes.
Yep.
You start to kind of get in there. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get any of your movies. You guys were talking about Jordan and LeBron earlier. Did you see that new movie? It's like Air or the Nike Story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched it the other day. I was like, that was actually really good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Good job, Eric. 2 for 3.
Yeah, good job. Thanks for helping me out, putting it on the screen.
Well, I try to make the clue words as obscure as possible because I don't want to just give the most obvious clue words. But sometimes I fully admit I go a little too obscure with the clue words, so I might have to loosen that up just a touch. All right.
Makes it all the more difficult. It's okay.
Yeah. There you go.
The reward is greater.
Let's jump into this week's notable smokable, and notable smokables brought to us by Luciano Cigars. Notable cigars, notable passion, notable purpose. So, Laurel, you remember this from last time. Each week we name a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we just revisited for the first time in a long time, or it could be a cigar that's brand new to the market that we tried for the first time ever. Obviously, you're smoking mostly AJ Fernandez stuff, but we know that you love a lot of other cigars on the market and you love to see what's out there. So can you name something you smoked recently that really stood out to you?
Honestly, I feel like I gave this away 10 minutes ago, but my answer would have been that timeless.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was, it was a really, really a very good cigar. And probably if I have to go something different, the Bosphorus
Yeah.
from the Osgener family cigars.
Yeah.
Very impressed by that. I had one when they first came out, and I'm going to be honest, I think whatever humidor I bought it from, I won't throw the shop under the bus. It was not super well kept, and it kind of like fought me a little bit, and I hesitated to go back to it. And I'm always an advocate of like, oh, you should give cigar a couple chances. And, I went back and had another one, actually probably about a month ago. And I was like, oh, this is a really good cigar. The first one, just, by no fault of their own, it's just, it didn't really hit right. But yeah, I was very impressed by it.
Real quick, before I get into my notable, on that note, I was in a cigar shop just a couple weeks ago, and I walk in to the humidor. I'm like, whoa, it is hot in there. And the tobacconist, and he's relatively new-ish to having a cigar shop. He was like, well, I set it for 85. One of the guys in here told me that the temperature should be 85.
What?
And I was like, it's like, not unless you want tobacco beetles and a lot of mold and to cook all of your cigars. It's like, no, 68. Set it for 68.
Yeah. That's
And,
crazy. This
I
would be
know he had
unsmokable.
space heaters.
Oh,
He had space heaters in there because some guy told him.
Some
that-
random customer.
Absolutely. That knew all
That's
the
why you don't
things.
listen to them.
I know. So anybody listening, please don't set your humidor for 85 degrees.
oh my goodness.
Keep it below 70. Yeah.
That would be so unpleasant just to operate in.
Right?
Yeah. What?
As soon as I opened the door, I was like, oh, I get a sauna and to select cigars.
Two
My-
for one deal,
My pores
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
great. The cigars are fucking ruined, but my pores, I mean, look at my skin.
It's fabulous.
I'm glowing.
Yeah, so are the cigars.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
that's
All right, so my notable, I spent the weekend organizing, rearranging, and reconfiguring my entire cigar collection, and I found several bags of unlabeled cigars, and I found this one bag, and I have no idea what it is, to be honest, but whatever the hell it is,
Oh, the unbanded
just
old. You're like,
old-
what? I do not remember. Yes,
have
we
no
all have
idea.
those cigars in our humidors.
Yes.
I wish I could tell you guys what it was, but I just have to tell you this. It was I smoked 2 of them back to back because they were that good.
Yeah.
No clue what they are. They were Corona sized and fantastic. So,
Gotta love that when you find those.
yep,
It's fun.
it is fun.
I wish I knew what this was so I could get it again.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my notable this week was the Plasencia Alma del Campo.
Mm,
It's and honestly, it hasn't been on the market a super long time, maybe 4 or 5 years. But it was the first time in probably a year that I had the cigar. And I mean, it's a blend that I really, really enjoy.
Love
And
it.
I think they do a great job with that one.
Yep.
And it's one of those, I mean, you guys know I'm not a big fan of huge ring gauge cigars.
Right.
But that blend in the bigger, it's 60, but I think it's like a 56. I don't remember which size it is exactly, but it's in the mid to high 50s ring gauge wise. That blend works really well in the big ring gauge.
it really does. And you're not, like and it's a bit of a higher price point too, cigar. And it's one of those that I think is worth the price point.
Yeah, it's not up there with some of their other stuff, but yeah,
No.
we're looking
16,
16, 18,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a good cigar. I really enjoy that one. So, and it's always nice to come back to those ones. It's been like, a year or two
Yep.
since you've tried one. and you remember, oh yeah, that's why I love this cigar. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
that was
doing-
really good.
yeah.
I have to make a note when I smoke something that I like to just remind myself to smoke it again.
Yes.
It's like I'll go in the humidor and, when I go to a shop, like on my off day, I try to buy something different just because, I like other cigars, and I'll smoke something. And I'm like, oh, damn, I'm really enjoying this. And then fast forward 3 months, I'm like, oh, I haven't smoked anything lately that's different. And then I like get all, I get all cranky about it. I'm like, I have forgotten literally everything.
So that was this week's Notable Smokable, brought to you by Luciano Cigars, improving lives through fine cigars. Please visit lucianocigars.com to learn more. And let's let you guys I'm gonna work
So
on
good.
words.
Gooder.
Words are
English.
Have you
words are
smoked
easy.
Luciano Lancero?
Oh yeah,
So good.
yeah.
So good.
Very nice cigar.
So good.
Very nice cigar. So let's tell our viewers and listeners about some coming attractions that we have. And those are brought to us by AJ Fernandez.
What?
AJ Fernandez now produces unparalleled premium cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The AJ Fernandez portfolio of cigars provides blend strength and flavor profiles to match the preferences of any premium cigar consumer. Whether it's New World, Dias de Gloria, San Lotano, Enclave, or Bellas Artes, you are sure to be satisfied with a premium cigar from AJ Fernandez. So, next week is Memorial Day, so we're going to take that Monday off. It's a holiday. We want everybody to enjoy their families, have a barbecue, chill out, relax. The following Monday, which is June 5th, we're already going to be in June. Holy crap. But we're very excited to have none other than Alex Tavella, the GOAT,
who I'm playing chess with right now.
Who Garrett is playing chess with as we speak. Nerd. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Nerd alert. So Alex Tavella is going to be our guest on the show on June 5th. And then on June 12th, we have none other than Mike Shepankevich. I'm never going to say his name right.
I think that's nailing it.
I think it's close.
Yeah.
It is.
I get a little closer every time. There's a lot of syllables.
There's so many syllables.
So from Postania Cigars, they have the new Postania Corona out on the market. So we're going to talk to him about that. And some other great stuff coming up in future weeks as well. Laurel, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show. If you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to find out everything about AJ Fernandez cigars?
Well, right now, if you go to our website, I know that doesn't sound all that exciting, right? Oh, go to the website. But it's actually a very easy, well laid out place to navigate, just to kind of give you a nice little quick synopsis of the blends. So you can also follow AJ Fernandez on social media, and you can follow me on social media if you want. But yeah, if you want just like a nice little blend breakdown of everything, I would go to just ajfernandezcigars.com, and it'll give you like a little history. Like I said, a nice little quick synopsis about the blend and all the Vitola offerings. And yeah, that's the best place you can go to kind of get all of your information. I know there's a app coming out called Unwrapped, and we will have our product information on there as well. I don't know if it has launched yet, but we submitted everything to them a couple of months ago, and actually they were just at an event I was at last week. So that will, in theory, be a cool place that you can go and get a lot of different blend information, not just from AJ Fernandez, but from all the companies who have worked with them to kind of get their information out there.
That's awesome. I love it. Laurel, thank you so much for being our guest again on the show. We love talking to you, love learning from you, and we wish you a fantastic remainder of 2023. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. I hope it's not like I don't talk to you before the end of the year. You say have a fantastic 2023. Like we're not going to have any correspondence between now and the new year, but thank you. You too.
But you'll probably be in DC before the end of the year, and we'll have to do
this
again.
Yeah.
We'll make sure the next show. Yeah, I'm in DC again, and I do it from a hotel room. So it'll be great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laurel.
All right, viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for watching live on Facebook and live on YouTube. And of course, if you're listening on your favorite audio podcast platform, thanks so much for making us a part of it. Take just a minute, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to, like the Facebook page, follow the Facebook page, and on your audio podcast platform, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode of How About That Cigar Live. We are so grateful to you guys. If you have questions for us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Follow us on all social media at HBT Cigar. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.